Hello and welcome to Boomer and Beyond Wellness. I'm Angela Fischetti. So today's workout is a kettlebell lower body workout with supersets. And the accessories we'll be using today will be a sticky yoga mat. I'll also be using a fit ball, and if you don't have one, a 9-inch Pilates ball is great as well. And then I'll also be using 2 pair of kettlebells, 15 pounds and 20 pounds. Now this leads me right into the medical disclaimers and precautionary measures. So first off, if you have any chronic health concern at all, whether I mention it today or not, I invite you all to please don't participate right away with the video. Right. I'm asking you to please preview the video before participating and look for what you can do. However, if you're not sure, then I would invite the medical healthcare practitioner who knows your body best to preview the video as well to help you make an informed decision. Now, more specifically, if you have a latex allergy, be careful. The mat, the ball, whether it be the fit ball or the Pilates ball, they're made out of latex, so you do want to look for non-latex or latex-free. Now, if you have any knee flexion issues, so this would be bending of the knees, and particularly for squats. So I'm just going to suggest that you either take it to the wall as a wall sit, I've demonstrated this many times on the channel, or you just shorten your range of motion. So I like to take a nice deep squat, but this is a squat as well, so you can keep that a shorter range of motion. If you're medicated or not for hypertension, have GERD or vertigo, please avoid this position of the cervical spine of the neck. Just dropping the head down, right? I'd like you to make sure you keep your head neutral. And I do have to say that just recently I taught a live workout and I saw several of the females placing their devices on the floor. So they were working out the whole time like this, and then wondered why their necks were bothering them. So please, folks, make sure your device is up within eye level at least, and that you're not doing this to look at something and not this. So keep that head neutral. If you have carpal tunnel syndrome, please avoid this wrist extension position. It doesn't matter the placement of the arms and forearms, but because this is still a wrist extension. You want to make sure they're nice and straight. I do find that with kettlebell work, a lot of people will hold them like this in that wrist extension. Please avoid that. Now, if you have any back spine issues, but in particular with flexion of the spine, so maybe you've been advised not to bend down to pick up something, this could include, but not exclusive to, osteoporosis of the spine, as well as the postural deviation called hyperkyphosis, where we stand kind of hunched. You folks want to make absolutely sure that you are not bending down to do a squat. Again, on this same workout, I saw several females doing this, thinking this is a squat. No, let's show you again. Sitting back into a chair, head, chest lifted. Okay, continuing on. So, if you have issues with your feet, because we're going to be doing heel raises, particularly if you have bunions, hammer toes, arthritic feet, if you have Morton's Neuroma, you need to find out if coming up onto the balls of the feet is appropriate for you or not. Also, if you've had a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, or a stroke. Well, I'll be doing a bit of a stretching at the end with you, and I always like to finish off with a spine back extension because there's a lot of flexion in the work. So for you folks though, you want to avoid hyperextension of the cervical spine of the neck. You too, keep your chin, head level, please, with your work. And one more issue I would like to address would be that of valgus knee. Now, valgus knee is typically where we look like this, and it's formerly known as knock-knee, but it's actually kind of accurate in its description. And we just want to make sure that when I'm working on the kettlebell front narrow stance squat, so I'll be doing squats with the feet together, not you folks. You just bring your legs wider apart, okay? Neutral stance will work for you quite nicely. Some benefits as to why I'm really into the kettlebells lately and creating this series for you, particularly for those of us aging, right? A lot of times it's like, I don't want to do the kettlebells. They're great for us. Why? Because particularly with the exercise that I've included this evening, which is kettlebell swing, it is all about power and explosiveness. And why these are so important for us in the aging process is because they help enhance the reflex reaction time. Also, it is a low impact exercise, which is great, and we get a lot of work on the posterior chain of the body. Also very excellent considering so much is done out in front. Now, a couple of gentle reminders. Always feel free to stop and rest whenever you need to during your workout. However, I am not inviting you to quit. So you stop, take a couple of breaths, and then rejoin the work, even if it's for just one more repetition. Also, make sure you keep yourselves properly hydrated with water. I don't know from flavored waters, teas, coffees, sparkling water. I don't know from any of that. I just know what I've read by Harvard Health Studies and publishing. It's all about drinking water. Now, this could bring up issues for you, though, where you have been advised not to drink a lot of water because of kidney or bladder issues. Please, you follow that advice. Now, on the channel, you want to look for a warm-up and cool-down video. One video where you can interchange the movements, and it is important for those of us 55 years and above to warm up for 10 minutes prior to any workout. Also on the channel, I'd like you to look for it within the community tab, a rating of perceived exertion chart, RPE for short, and this is a 0 through 10 subjective scale. That's an excellent tool, particularly for those of you who might have a pacemaker, or maybe you're on certain medications like a beta blocker, or just maybe you don't know how to take your training heart rate. That's fine. It is advised to work out at an RPE between 3 and 6. So what are we going to do today for this kettlebell lower body workout with supersets? Well, supersets is when we're working 2 different exercises back to back. I'm going to teach you 8 exercises vertically, 1 set of each exercise. A set is a group of 8 to 15 repetitions. After the vertical approach, we'll move into the superset approach, where we break it down into 4 blocks of 2 exercises each. So now let's talk about how do you stand when you're working out. So this is called an athletic ready stance. I'm going to bring my hands in, I should say, to the inside of my high hip bones called the iliac crest. So I'm pointing the fingers straight down, not turned in. Then I want to line up from the inside of the high hip bone down to the knees, down to the ankles, toes, same line as each other. Now, standing to the side, females in particular need to pay attention to this, please. Be careful, because a lot of times what we'll do is stand with our pelvis tipped forward. We don't want to do that. That's called an anterior pelvic tilt. In fact, what we want to do is just a nice, soft, subtle posterior pelvic tilt, also known as a pelvic tuck. So now we're going to begin the work. Remember, we're not going to use any resistance at all. We're not going to use those kettlebells on this whole first vertical approach. But I will be incorporating that fit ball quite often here, because that will help with the form. So the first block consists of squats with a kettlebell swing. So facing you first, so you can see here, I lift the toes inside the shoes. Now why? Because it helps to train your shin muscles. Very important. They need some love, okay? And this is helpful for balance as well as the strength of your knees. The other reason why I do it is because when I sit back into a chair, as I inhale, on the exhale, I'm driving up now from the heels, thus working the posterior extensor chain of the body, the hamstrings, the gluteals, and those back erectors. Continuing on, inhale, sit back, exhale, come up, pelvic tuck squeeze right at the top. That's the pause at the peak of the contraction. Breath in and out through the nose. Do make sure you take your time. We're not trying to speed through the work. We're trying to get you stronger, folks. This is not about endurance, although everything benefits each other. Let's go for one more. Pause at that peak. Exhale. Now the next exercise is a kettlebell swing. Let's grab your fit ball, your Pilates ball. When you have weight, you're going to set the kettlebell out in front of you. So I'm just going to do that here, demonstrating with the ball. Then I draw the ball through the legs, exhale, come up. So each time I come up, pelvic tuck squeeze, and I'm lifting the toes inside the shoes. You come up to a vertical position. 2 more repetitions. 1 more. Now when you lower it down, it would be out in front, and then you bring it closer toward you when you actually have the weight. Let me see if I need this for the next one. Yes, I do. So for the second block, we have front squats with RDLs, Romanian Deadlifts. Now, a front squat is precisely as it sounds, athletic ready, ball in front of the chest. I bring it nice and close up toward the chin. Just want to make sure you can see the feet. So standing diagonally, inhale, sit back, exhale, up. So just the weight is going to be right out in front of you. Make sure you do the squeezing, the pausing. Two more repetitions. Pause here. RDLs. So I am going to use the ball facing you for the moment. Feet a bit wider than the hips. Now I'm going to turn diagonal for you. But I want you to see both feet. Here we go. Hip hinge. So what's the difference between a squat and a deadlift? It's that hip hinge. I'm not sitting back into the chair. Keep your chin up, especially medicated or not, for hypertension, GERD, and vertigo. Inhale, exhale. Let's just do one more. And pause. The next round will be kettlebell front narrow squats. Careful, valgus knee, don't bring those feet together the way that I'm going to show you to do this. And we're going to do it with heel raises with straight knees. That means we are working 3 calf muscles, soleus, gastrocnemius, and plantaris. The one we're emphasizing here with straight knees is the soleus muscle. So for the kettlebell front narrow squats, now feet together, and sit back into a chair. Squeeze. So I'm even thinking about squeezing my inner thighs into each other, pushing the inner knees together. Now let me give you a bit more of a side view here. Pelvic tuck squeeze. One more. And now heel raises. So I'm going to probably be holding suitcase style 2 weights, but we'll see. I might change things around a little bit. So here we go. Athletic ready stance. Up and down. Up and down. Pause and lower. There we go. One more. The soleus muscle is referred to as the second heart. It helps with the venous return of the blood, returning it back to the heart. Now we're going to do kettlebell kickstand deadlift. I'm going to hold on to the ball with heel raises, bent knees. So it's a bit of a split stance, not a big like lunge position. I'm going to put the ball in front. Remember, it's a deadlift, so therefore it's a hip hinge. I want you to think when you come up, you're coming up and forward. Working these gluteals, super important, especially for females, because oftentimes during the aging process we fall, and oftentimes, not always, it's due to weak gluteals. One more, and let's go to the other side. This side's always just a little bit more challenging for me. We do the best we can with what we've got. One more. Great. And now heel raises with bent knees. Let's give you more of a like diagonal view. I think that might be better. There it is. One more. Okay, time to go grab these kettlebells now, all right? So we have the first block would be squats with a kettlebell swing. So I'm using 20 pounders for my squats, holding suitcase style. Gonna face to the side, toes lifted inside the shoes, athletic, ready stance. Here we go. Inhale, exhale. Now I am lightly touching the base of the kettlebell to the floor. You don't have to. And you don't want to rest them down either. One more. We're doing this with the kettlebell swing, so I'm going to use one 20-pounder. I recently leveled up on this one. So, kettlebell out in front. At least you can see my hands. Inhale through the legs, exhale up. I'm going to go a little bit more narrow. All the way up. One more. I let it land, bring it toward me, and back to the squats. And oh yeah, my breath is going to deepen. It's going to get faster. My heart rate's going to go up. Both of these are compound movements. All of the movements here, except the heel raises, are compound movements, working multiple large muscles and multiple joints simultaneously. Excellent for activities of daily living. One more. Let me set one down. And kettlebell swing. Careful, watch your setup, right? Out in front. And then, not go quite that wide. Through the legs and up. And down. All right. The next one, I'm doing front squats. So I'm going to turn the kettlebell upside down, 120-pounder, with RDL's Romanian Deadlift. So front squats, not narrow, and Hold the breath in and out through the nose, hold. Take it down. I'm using 20s, plural, for the RDLs. Okay. Feet a bit wider than the hips. Athletic ready stance. Here we go. Hip hinge. Kettlebells directly in front of my legs. Chin is up. Pelvic tuck squeeze. Oh yeah. Man, do I feel this in the gluteals. One more. Now we do it again. And that's why we call it supersets. Front squats, toes lifted. One more. Whew, hold here. And RDLs. Let's give you a side view. Feet a bit wider than the hips. Toes same line. Pelvic tuck squeeze. Last one. Great. Now, we're going to do kettlebell front narrow squats. Be careful about this knee, right? So I'm using a set of 15 pounds. And I might change this to one weight as well. Okay. Make sure you see those feet. Okay. Squeeze it all together. And hold right here. Slowly lower the arms. We're going to do heel raises. I'm going to try with the suitcase grip here. If I don't like it, I'm going to change off to 120 pounder. Sometimes you get a little wobbly. It can happen. One more. And down. Okay, back to the kettlebell narrow front stance squats. Pull them up. And last one. Oh man. Whew. Okay. Now I'm going to face the camera, folks. I need to with my own form. Okay, here we go. So straight knee, right? Last one. And down. Great. Now we're going to do, I'm going to hold on to them for the first round. I think for the second round of the Kickstand Kettlebell Deadlift, for the second round, I'll use 120 pounder. But, let's see. So we're going to do this with the heel raises with bent knees. hip hinge, split stance, up and forward. One more. Split stance, other side. Make sure you see both feet. It's an issue for me. Okay, here we go. You're gonna see my range of motion on this side is a little shorter. It is what it is. I'm sweating. Last one. Okay, with heel raises, with bent knees, I'm going to grab one 20-pounder. 1 second. My eyeglasses are falling off from the sweat. Okay, upside down. And one more, and back two. Now this time I'll show you with one weight, so I'm going to use a 20-pounder instead of the two 15s. Hip hinge, up and forward. Kickstand, kettlebell, deadlift. Or I should say kettlebell, kickstand, deadlift. Oh man, this is talking to me. Oh man, other side. Yep, okay, here we go. Hip hinge, Angela, hip hinge. It's not a squat. Let's bend that back knee even more. One more. Oh gosh. And then heel raises with bent knees. Whoop. Here we go. One more. And set it on down. So now, let's move into just some basic gentle stretching. I want to do some movements of the spine and the hips. So I really want to begin here with the hands on the sacrum. Now be careful with this hand position because of carpal tunnel syndrome. And I'm actually going to do a little hula movement, also known as a belly dance. And reverse direction. You can always bring your hands to your waist if you want, or on your thighs. And come back to center. Now, I want to do some lateral flexion with you. So feet are wider than the hips. I'm going to slide down with my right hand, making sure my sternum, my breastbone is pointing toward the ceiling. Bring the left hand to the waist. If you have rotator cuff or pinch nerve at the neck, keep the hand there. Otherwise, we're going to take the arm up and over. So I'm reaching out through both sets of middle fingers. Please do not push out through the hips. It's about the reaching away from each other. Then inhale, turn that palm up to the ceiling as if you're grabbing an imaginary hook. Exhale, push down onto the left heel, return to center for the moment. Slide down, making sure, so you can always self-adjust your ribs so that you're not collapsing the side organs toward the floor and keeping that sternum up toward the ceiling. Again, pinch nerve or rotator cuff, right hand to the waist, or then arm up and over, reaching, and breathe. Inhale, turn that palm up. Grab an imaginary hook, push down into the right heel to return to center. Now from here, I want you to keep your feet where you are, but for me, I'm going to turn to the side because I want you to see this. This is going to be that back spine extension work. Remember, TIA stroke, no hyperextension of your cervical spine, the neck. Hands to the sacrum. So for this one in particular, for carpal tunnel, you can bring your hands below your butt and your wrists will be straight. So I'm going to bend the knees, and basically I'm thinking about sliding the sacrum, that upside down letter V at the base of your spine. I'm sliding it down toward the heels. Does it slide? No. Roll the shoulders back, and now I'm going to go for it because I love this stretch, and my spine is getting these stunning adjustments. You can also straighten your knees. Inhale, lift the head to neutral. Exhale, come all the way up. Let's take a couple of nice big shoulder rolls. I want you to do more of a cool down, folks. So head to my YouTube channel, Boomer and Beyond Wellness, and pull up the warm up and cool down video and pay attention to it, and I'd like you to cool down for a couple of more minutes. In the meantime, if you like the content I provide here, please consider subscribing to the channel, sharing the videos, giving a kind comment, and also don't forget, and I almost forgot to tell you, to hit that notification bell. If you are interested in receiving free monthly newsletters from me with more videos for workouts and yoga sessions, plus fitness tips and tricks, really fantastic, tasty, nutritious, delicious, phytonutrient-rich vegan recipes, whole food plant-based recipes by really lovely vegan chef friends of mine and culinary experts. Also, we're going to have some animal pet rescue there as well. And what you do is just go to the subscribe tab on my website, which is boomerandbeyondwellness.com. I'll repeat it, boomerandbeyondwellness.com. So until next time, eat your greens, eat your beans, drink your water, and be well. Thanks so much.